everyone? My name is Jamon McKinney, or you can just call me Juice, because that is my nickname. Let's talk about the New England Patriots. In this episode today, I will break down the New England Patriots 2020 roster. We'll talk about how many games they will win this upcoming season. Let's get right to it. So the New England Patriots, for the first time in 20 years, no longer have TB12, aka Tom Brady, under center. Cam Newton, former MVP quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, is the successor to Tom Brady. Now, I understand that Jarrett Stidham is going to get a fair shot to be the starter. He's going to get, some first-team reps. Bill Belichick is not just going to hand the job to Cam Newton, but assuming Cam Newton, zeroes in on the playbook, assuming Cam Newton focuses and just does his thing, he will beat out Jarrett Stidham pretty easily, in my opinion. I just think that, Cam Newton is just way more talented than Jarrett Stidham. And if Bill Belichick and that coaching staff were truly invested in Jarrett Stidham, they would not have brought Cam Newton on the roster. So I truly believe Cam Newton is going to be the starting quarterback week number 1 of the 2020 NFL season. And listen, I can't think of a better quarterback to replace Tom Brady than Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a former league MVP. He's a former first-team All-Pro. He's been to a Super Bowl in the past. And I think Cam Newton, when healthy, is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's got a very strong arm, probably one of the 5 strongest arms in the NFL. His ability to run around and make plays off schedule is really second to none. He's right up there with Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, etc., as far as, extending plays, making something out of nothing. And Cam Newton is very underrated when it comes to his ability to dissect defenses, his ability to process quickly. I think he has a very underrated football IQ. He's shown that he can be a surgeon in that pocket. And last time we saw Cam Newton fully healthy, he was playing some of the best football of his entire career. The last time Cam Newton was healthy, which was a season ago in 2018, he had a 6-2 record. He threw for 15 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. That was before he got injured in the Pittsburgh Steelers game. The Panthers were 6-2 at that point in the season. And if Cam Newton was healthy, they were on pace to get a first-round bye. And I thought that they were a Super Bowl contender that season, okay? So the last time Cam Newton was healthy, he was playing very good MVP-level football. And the key thing that Cam Newton was doing at the time was he was running and executing a system that is, at a very high level, I might add, very similar to the Patriots system. If someone tells you Cam Newton is not a good fit for the Patriots system, they don't know what they're talking about. I really question what they're watching, because the last time we saw Cam Newton on the field fully healthy, he was running a Bill Belichick type of offense with Norv Turner. Norv Turner, in 2018, basically what the Carolina Panthers were doing, Norv Turner, he was spreading wide receivers out, and he really made Cam Newton sort of run a Patriot-style offense where the Carolina Panthers were spreading teams out. The offense relied on efficiency. It was a quick passing game, and it allowed Cam Newton, similar to Tom Brady, to have a ton of freedom at the line of scrimmage in the shotgun. And keep this in mind. I think that the Patriots might be getting one of the better versions of Cam Newton simply because this guy is motivated. Cam Newton, in his mind, believes that he got a short end of the stick with the Carolina Panthers. He recognizes all the teams that passed on him this offseason. He recognizes the fact that the Patriots really only took a chance on Cam Newton because he was going to be out there for a cheap deal. The Patriots are getting Cam Newton on a bargain. He's barely making $1 million per year this season, okay? So Cam Newton is motivated, and I think that he's going to light the NFL on fire and have an MVP-type season with the Patriots, okay? And I think that Cam Newton brings a new dynamic to the New England Patriots offense that they have not had in previous seasons. I guarantee you, if you put a lie detector to Bill Belichick over the last 3 seasons, he will tell you that Tom Brady's inability to move around just a little bit off schedule and run for first downs really bothers him, because he sees guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, And even quarterbacks like Josh Allen running around and making something out of nothing. These teams are designing running plays for their quarterbacks. That's something the Patriots cannot do. Tom Brady at times was limiting the Patriots playbook. And I will give Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick at least some credit, because I do believe they did a great job of hiding some of Tom Brady's deficiencies over the last couple years, because Tom Brady is still a very good quarterback, but I don't think Tom Brady is in that elite category anymore. I think that he's declined a little bit. So listen, I think that Cam Newton allows the Patriots playbook to be fully open, and you're going to see some special things and some really creative plays being drawn up in New England with Cam Newton, okay? Now, there's going to be some growing pains with the Patriots and Cam Newton early in the season because, well, for one, the Patriots are really never great in September. If you look at their past records, over the last couple of years, they kind of start out choppy, they kind of start out slow, but about 9 to 10 games in, I expect the Patriots to be looking like one of the best teams in the entire NFL, and maybe arguably the best team in the AFC. So I think that there will be some growing pains early, especially due to the fact that this is not a normal offseason for most teams. I think Cam Newton learning a new system it's gonna take some time. There's gonna be some growing pains. And listen, the Patriots offensive system is very, very complex. Mohamed Sanu, who's a veteran wide receiver last year, could not grasp the playbook mid-season. He took forever to get those plays grasped, and he never was fully in sync with Tom Brady in that offense last season when the Patriots traded for him. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the Patriots. I think they'll start out the season a little bit choppy, but they'll pick it up late. Now, my other problem with the Patriots offense is this. Now, before I actually dive into this, don't get me wrong. I think that honestly, outside of Baltimore and Kansas City, the Patriots are probably the next team up in the AFC. I understand they have some deficiencies. I'll get to those deficiencies in a little bit, but I just think the Patriots are going to be a very good team this year. But either way, let's get to the deficiencies officially. What separates Kansas City and Baltimore from the Patriots, in my opinion, at the moment is I think that the Chiefs and Ravens are just flat out more explosive on offense. I like Julian Edelman, but he's not going to burn you over the top. I think Mohamed Sanu deserves our respect, but he's not an explosive wide receiver that takes the top off of defense. N'Keal Harry, liked him a lot out of Arizona State, struggled last season. I think that he will bounce back, but burning teams over the top is not N'Keal Harry's specialty. While this Patriots offense, to me, is going to be able to run the football with Sony Michel and those very good running backs, while Cam Newton does provide some explosiveness with his ability to run the football, this is going to be an offense that relies on efficiency. I don't think this team can get into a track meet. Meaning, if they have to put up a bunch of points 24/7, if they have to keep pace with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I don't know if they can do that consistently. So, the Patriots really can only play a couple styles of football. I would say that they can be a smash mouth running team and a team that is very efficient. I don't see this team being a team that can just put up 30 points whenever they want to, solely based on their offense. So I do think that gives me a little bit of a concern. I do think this Patriots team does somewhat have a ceiling, similar to how they were last year, where Tom Brady was basically turning water into wine at the wide receiver position. And listen, Cam Newton, for most of his career, has never had great wide receiver talent at his disposal back when he was even winning MVPs. I think that his best wide receiver that year was, Philly Brown and Ted Ginn Jr. at wide receiver when he won MVP, okay? He was making Jericho Country look like a beast out there, along with Greg Olsen, who's very good, but he really struggled to stay healthy from time to time. So that's kind of how I feel about the Patriots offense. I do think this offense will be efficient, but it's not explosive. Now, Bill Belichick brought in Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene, some two tight ends from the 2020 NFL Draft that personally I liked when I was scouting these players. When I was looking at players that were in the 2020 NFL Draft, Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi were two tight ends that stood out to me. I do think Bill Belichick kind of reached for those guys, but I'm not going to question what Bill Belichick is doing, simply because if anyone knows who fits his system, is Bill Belichick. So I'm not going to question for one bit what Bill Belichick is doing as far as drafting players. Now, when we look at this offensive line, losing Marcus Cannon due to him opting out this season is a blow to this team. But I do think Bill Belichick and his coaching staff are arguably the best in all of football. So I'm not going to, overreact too much to the Patriots losing a very good offensive lineman simply because just based off of coaching alone, this offensive line is going to be at worst an average unit. They can be just a good unit off their coaching and just off their scheme and off these guys, knowing what to do, being coached well. But I will say this is not a dominant offensive line. It's an above average offensive line, but it's not a dominant unit, okay? Now, I want to talk about the defense because the defense last year was very, very good. They were the best defense statistically last season. When you look at allowing points per game, they were the number one defense as far as allowing the least amount of points per game last year. For my money last season, the 49ers actually had the best defense, but the Patriots were definitely top three as far as defense last year. It really wasn't the defense that let the team down last year. It was really the offense, not being able to put up enough points. I mean, in that Tennessee Titans game, in the playoffs, I know Derrick Henry, really kind of exposed the Patriots' run defense, but that defense still gave Tom Brady and that offense a chance to go out and win the game, and the offense did virtually nothing. So I think this Patriots defense is still going to be very good. Now, losing Dante Hightower, Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy are definitely huge losses, but at the same time, we've seen, these players, leave the Patriots and virtually do nothing else on other teams in the past. We've seen Bill Belichick make these guys look good. Then when they go to other teams, they don't do virtually anything. So I'm not too worried because Bill Belichick, in my opinion, is the best coach in all of football. So he's going to be able to retool this defense. And we've seen in years past, even when Bill Belichick doesn't have his best defense as far as talent on the field, those defenses will be bend but don't break defenses. Meaning, we've seen in years past where the Patriots don't have as much talent on defense. They will give up a lot of yards, but they will be top 10 in scoring. So I do believe this defense is going to still, once again, be a top 10 unit. And I think the Patriots secondary is still top 3 in the NFL, led by Stephon Gilmore, who is the best defensive back in the entire NFL at the moment, okay? And obviously you draft guys like Kyle Duggar to replace Patrick Chung this year. You draft a guy like Josh Uche, who's kind of a do-it-all, type of player at Michigan. Anthony Jennings out of Alabama definitely fits the Patriots culture and the Patriots way as far as what he's going to be asked to do on defense. So this defense should be straight. Now, when evaluating the Patriots as a whole, I see an 11-5 football team. I really do. I think that the New England Patriots have the best team in the AFC outside of Kansas City and Baltimore. I think they have the best quarterback in their division. I don't think that's up for debate. I think Josh Allen is progressing. I think Sam Darnold has some potential, even though I'm not completely sold on him. I do like Tua Tagovailoa as a prospect, but Cam Newton is the top dog in this division. The Patriots have a top 10 quarterback. They have very good running backs. The wide receiver core should be better this season, with Mohamed Sanu getting his nose in the playbook for a second straight season, with N'Keal Harry hopefully taking a step this year, along with guys like Jacoby Myers. And listen, Cam Newton has, turned water into wine at the wide receiver position in years past. Now, and listen, this was a 12-win team last season. A lot of people actually think that Cam Newton is a better quarterback at this moment than Tom Brady. I think that they're about even. I think Tom Brady's football IQ and his knowledge and understanding of the game, along with his efficiency and accuracy, still make him among one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football. And while Cam Newton is never going to reach Tom Brady's level as far as him understanding defenses, his quick ability to process, Cam Newton's physical profile gives the Patriots a whole new dynamic on offense that they have not had in years past. So I think this is a playoff team, and I actually do think this team is going to win the AFC East once again. I like the Buffalo Bills roster. I think that they've done a lot of good things. I just can't pick Josh Allen to win a division over Cam Newton. I would be darned if I picked the Miami Dolphins or the New York Jets to even come close to competing in this division. Now, I will say that this relationship between Cam Newton and the Patriots, along with Bill Belichick, is going to be choppy early. I do think the first 6 to 7 weeks we'll be seeing some growing pains with this team. But by week 8, 9, 10, 11, this team is going to start clicking on all cylinders. So I have the Patriots going 11-5 this year. I will dive into the schedule right about now. Now, when I'm looking at the schedule, I'm not going to predict who's going to win each game. I'm going to tell you who I would favor in each game and how I feel each game might potentially play out. But do not quote me on who's going to win these matchups. That's how I'm doing the schedule this year. Dolphins, first week of the season, that's probably a win for the Patriots. I would favor them in that game. I know that the Miami Dolphins beat the Patriots last year, but I do think that Bill Belichick and that team is going to come out hungry at home, and they're going to win that game. I think Cam Newton is going to have something to prove week number 1. At Seattle, week number 2, I would favor Seattle. I just think Seattle has the better quarterback in this matchup. And I think that overall, that Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson know what they are. And the Seahawks last year, if it were not for all their running backs getting injured, they'd probably win the division over the 49ers last season. They just added Jamal Adams. I just think the Seattle Seahawks are a little bit better football team at the moment than the Patriots. And they're at home too. Vegas at home, I favor the Patriots in that matchup. I don't think Vegas is going to be all that great this year. At Chiefs, that's a loss. I think that Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win that track meet. I just don't think the Patriots have enough explosive players on offense to keep up with a team like Kansas City. Now, last year the Patriots nearly beat the Chiefs last year in Foxborough. They have to travel to Kansas City this time around. So I could see the Patriots returning the favor this year on the Chiefs. But I favor the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in that matchup. Broncos at home, I would favor New England. I actually do think Denver has more explosive players on offense than the Patriots, but Drew Lock is going to struggle versus the Bill Belichick defense. Young quarterback struggle versus Bill Belichick schemes. I had the Patriots winning that game. Off a bye week, this is a 50-50 game. And I would actually favor the Patriots over the 49ers only because they get them off a bye week. I do think the 49ers have better players than the Patriots. But the Patriots have a better quarterback, and they are going to be coming off a bye. So I favor the Patriots in that matchup. At Buffalo, I'd be splitting with the Buffalo Bills this year. I think that Buffalo is a very good team, but I don't think Buffalo is going to sweep the Patriots this year. The Patriots just swept the Buffalo Bills last season. Now, I like what Buffalo did in the offseason by adding Stephon Diggs, drafting Josh Allen, a couple more weapons at wide receiver and running back. So Buffalo deserves my respect. So you'll split with Buffalo this year. At Jets, the Jets are going to get swept by the Patriots this year. I don't think the Jets are very good at all this year. Ravens, I'd actually favor the Ravens in that matchup. That's a toss-up game, however. You know, last year, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens really took it to Bill Belichick and this Patriots team. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that game. I just think Baltimore's a better team. I really do. Now, at Texans, I'd probably say that's a win just simply because I trust Bill Belichick more than I trust Bill O'Brien. Cardinals at home, I'm going to say that they bracket up DeAndre Hopkins and make life tough for Kyler Murray. That's probably a win. At Chargers, that's a toss-up game. And at Rams, that's a toss-up game. I would say that you probably split with both those teams. Both teams deserve my respect. Both teams have some talent on both sides of the football. At Miami, I'm going to put that in the toss-up category simply because I think that by the end of the season, Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins will be the best version of themselves. They will be clicking nearly at the level we expect them to click out the gate. But by the end of the season, I think the Dolphins will be one of the more underrated, slept-on teams in the entire NFL. And I think that Tua Tagovailoa, by that time, will have some experience and have his feet wet in the NFL. Now, last two games, I would actually favor the Patriots. Bills at home, that's a win. I trust Cam Newton over Josh Allen, and the Jets don't even get me started. So, overall, when I look at the schedule, I see about 5 losses. At worst, I think this Patriots team is 9-7. I don't see this team falling to 500 or below 500. They have too many good players. This was a 12-win team last season, and they're getting a motivated, dynamic Cam Newton, who's going to bring some juice to this franchise. And I do believe that the New England Patriots will go 11-5 during the 2020 NFL season. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.